Are you guys excited to do the West or what?
Dude, I'm pumped.
Hey,
I'm pumped for this.
That's actually
See
sweet.
this?
Yeah, I can see that.
Oh wait, that's really cool.
Yeah, I just kind of
Oh,
I
let's go
compiled all
NBA
of-
playoffs.
our predictions into like
Sticking them.
actual standings. So,
Oh, dude, let's
like,
go, baby. NBA!
As you can see, me and Shannon have the exact same playoff predictions for the East.
Let's go.
And Kellan has basically the same, except he's got the Raptors at 7 and the Pacers at 6.
Right on, dude. That sweatshirt is pretty cool though.
Thanks, bro. I'm hyped. I think I saw one, something like that. I think I was like, I don't know. I feel like I showed it to you, Jonas. Something similar to that a while ago. I don't
Where'd
even
you
remember.
get it from?
I think it was a gray one though. eBay.
Oh,
Yeah, I remember back at the back when we used to be able to go to Blazer games and we'd get there like 90 minutes early. We would spend some of the time looking at Blazer gear on eBay.
That's what I thought. Yeah, dude. We definitely, dude. As soon as we can go, we need to get all three of us out in that thing.
I cannot wait to get back in the Moda Center.
Bro, when we have all three of us have to go when the Dubs come to town.
Dude, because I can probably get the student pass too now.
Yeah.
We can just buy we can just buy 3 tickets, just random places, and then just sit wherever we want.
Yeah. Yeah, I told Kellan about I'm not gonna say it on the podcast, A, because I don't want us to get in trouble, and B, because I don't want anybody else to catch on to our trick. But
if everyone's doing it, it won't work.
Yeah, but me and Shannon have the system absolutely rigged.
Dude, they might as well not even charge us to get in at this point, dude.
Yeah.
Jonah, you have the whole process down from like the traveling to the arrival. I've never been to Portland and back so fast in my entire life. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah, dude, Jonah's crazy. But me and Jonah literally had like the worst case scenario and still came out successful.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah.
In terms of like, yeah, I know what you mean.
It's pretty much no fail.
Yeah. Because we've been to the freaking trenches and pulled ourselves right out of them and sat like 8 rows back.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. I think I know. Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, I told you about it, I think, Kellan, one time. But it's sick.
It's smart.
All right. So are you guys ready to get into the Western
Let's go, baby. The West.
West,
I already know who I think is going. I already know my playoff seeding.
Look at that beautiful team right there. Can we save Golden State for last?
I want to write it down.
Yeah. In fact, I had an idea that we could do it a little bit differently than last time. I was thinking, what if we just kind of did like what Shannon was saying, our own rankings, and kind of started from the top of the conference and just worked our way down?
I like that. Let's do that.
So Shannon, do you want to lead us off? Who did you have number 1?
Hang on. Give me a sec. Let me write them down so I make sure I have it right.
Okay. Yeah. No problem.
What are you writing down, Shannon?
Just my rank top 8.
I will say before we get started, I bumped up in my Eastern Conference predictions. I moved the Raptors from 39 wins to 40 wins. So if it doesn't seem like the numbers add up for my picks, it's because I gave the Raptors an extra win in the East.
Gotcha.
Jonas, does yours make sense all across the board?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel so dumb. I'll just do something close to what you guys do.
I don't even care about that, honestly. Okay, wait.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Who's next? I don't think the Warriors are next on mine.
Bro.
Wait, can you scroll down? I need to see the other teams because I'm forgetting someone.
You can't name off the top of your head?
Oh, wait, no, I got it. I remember.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, I have my top 8.
All right, let's go.
Man, look at that, dude. The Nuggies. Okay, so what's Vegas got my Warriors at? They've got them at 39. Nice.
Okay.
Anything over 500 is solid.
Yeah, lead us off with the number 1 seed in the West. Jimmy.
Okay, for me, in the 2021 season, the number 1 seed in the West will be the regular season champions of the Western Conference, the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, that makes sense. And how many wins are these Lakers going to be getting?
Whew. Oh, wait, what's Vegas say? Oh, okay.
Damn.
So I was going to give these Lakers 49 wins, actually.
Yeah. Yes, sir. That's a good pick.
49?
Yes, sir. I think they have the roster to be, even if there's like load management and stuff like that, they're gonna get some serious regular season wins.
Yeah,
There's no doubt about it.
I'm gonna go with. Oh man, I'm gonna say they win 50 games.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's a good pick too.
I thought about 50, but I didn't want to give them the confidence.
You don't want to see the 50 there, dude. 50 22. That's a dang good.
I don't need
season.
LeBron looking at that 50 on here.
And I'm gonna go with Shannon with 49
Yes,
wins.
sir.
I'm really
With
thinking
the
outside
Lakers,
the box.
There's nothing better than when Jonah picks the same number as you, man.
We kind of already know this is going to be a very good regular season team. And I think the additions of Dennis Schroeder and Montrezl Harrell, even if I didn't like the reasons they acquired them for, I think those are going to be guys who help them quite a bit in the regular season because their offense won't go straight into the toilet whenever either LeBron or Anthony Davis is off the floor. They kind of have a second look to throw at teams now, similarly to how Montrezl Harrell and Lou Williams were both effective on the court together during the regular season last year when Kawhi and Paul George weren't the fulcrums of the offense. So I think the Lakers have that going for them this year. Can we talk just for a second about what we think of the offseason the Lakers had? Because I don't think I've talked about this with Shannon yet before.
No, yeah, go ahead.
Shannon, what did you think of these moves?
So I remember, I think I texted you about this, or just like one thing, but I am not feeling like it would be impossible for us to see what we saw in 2018, or maybe it was 17 or 18, when the Cavs ended up getting like Isaiah Thomas and, or like then there was the year they got like Dwayne Wade, and they're just adding all these pieces in that like on paper, you're like, yeah, these are good players. And then on the courts, like this isn't really working out. And so this year you have them build this championship season, which, I mean, granted, there were other things that, the Warriors were injured all season, the Clippers choked, the Blazers were injured all season, and we ended up with the Heat in the finals, all these things going on. But they still put together a championship, and there's still this squad that built that chemistry in the bubble, and then you break a lot of the pieces apart, and you give up a guy like Rondo, who did as much as anyone else for the Lakers in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And Dwight Howard, who's huge for them. I mean, part of their success was their size. You ship out Dwight Howard and you get an undersized center in Montrezl Harrell. I mean, there's changes that like theoretically make sense. Or like Marc Gasol, he's pretty slow. He's not Dwight Howard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's things that theoretically, yeah, these are good players you're adding, but does it work out on the court? Is it the same thing when you add these players? You never know what kind of chemistry you're going to end up with.
Yeah. And I love your point about Dwight Howard because we saw the Lakers almost concede this in the NBA Finals, that their best lineups and the lineups they're going to play in the high leverage situations have Anthony Davis at center. Like that just makes so much more sense from an offensive perspective. You get so much more spacing, and Anthony Davis is obviously one of the best rim protectors in the league. So you're not giving much up on defense. But we saw during the regular season, like Anthony Davis, for good reason, does not want to play center for a 72 or 82 game regular season. Like, he just doesn't want to have to bang with those 7-footers all game long and have that sort of wear and tear. So we saw them play guys like Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee next to Anthony Davis. And the theory behind that was always like, sure, you're sacrificing on offense and your spacing is going to be kind of jacked up, but you're making up for it by having awesome defense and just insane rim protection and just a ton of two 7-foot shot blockers clogging up the paint and making it impossible for opponents to get anything at the basket. That's why the Montrezl Harrell thing just kind of left me scratching my head, because you're not improving the spacing. Like, that's going to be just as much of an issue as it would have been with Howard or McGee. And he's not a rim protector. Like Anthony Davis all of a sudden is going to be your most qualified guy in the paint, blocking shots, guarding centers. Like, Montrez doesn't have the physical profile to guard a lot of the elite centers in the NBA.
Right. So
that just made no sense to me. And I think
that's just more bruising on AD. Wait, did they keep JaVale or not?
No, he's in Cleveland now. So and so when you look at Trez and Dennis Schroeder, who they also acquired, it just feels very much like yay points to me. Like Rob Pelinka just is throwing all these like high scoring guys together, and I don't necessarily think it's going to work out. I like Schroeder for him quite a bit.
Yeah, me too. But I definitely agree with you. You had JaVale and Dwight just desperate to play, coming in the game and just giving all of their energy, trying to prove themselves, blocking shots and just bullying guys, and you don't have that. Marc Gasol's not coming in to do that anymore. I was looking into it, and he kind of saw a decline in play towards the end of the season last year. And just last year, like, he wasn't his championship self anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And one last thing with the Montrezl Harrell signing is that the Lakers spent the full mid-level exception on him. And the full mid-level exception, if you're the Los Angeles Lakers, it goes a long ways because not very many teams have that much spending power, and not very many teams can make their money go as far as the Lakers can. People want to come play in LA. People want to come take a discount to play with the Lakers. So the Lakers could have used that opportunity of having that resource to bring in a guy who could theoretically be a part of the closing lineup and be a guy who's out on the floor in game 7 of like the Western Conference Finals or like in the NBA Finals. And instead, they brought a guy in with Montrezl Harrell, who even if he does work out and even if he's as good as he was last year when he won the 6th Man of the Year in the regular season, even if he hits that performance benchmark, he still won't make sense in their closing lineup whatsoever. Like, he won't be able to play next to Anthony Davis. So
yeah, and that was the thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, if I'm the Lakers, it just makes no sense to spend my most precious resource on a guy who won't be able to close games for me.
Right, and then the thing with the Lakers, to me, that I saw throughout all their series is they were bigger than everyone. Like the Blazers, we all got injured just playing against them. They were so big and so physical.
Yeah.
Montrez is physical, but he's not big. It's not the same. Like, okay, let's look at the Blazers now. They added a bunch of physical bigs. Like, that's not a problem for us anymore. And then another thing was you see them get rid of Danny Green. Yeah, you bring in Wesley Matthews, but Wesley Matthews isn't Danny Green. Like, that's a hole now. And they keep KCP, but he's not Danny Green either, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Jonah, would you have just preferred them keep Dwight and JaVale?
As
and
opposed,
then bring in another guy?
Yeah, because the opportunity cost for bringing in Montrez was so high. So I would have traded JaVale McGee to make room for Marc Gasol like they ended up doing. But I probably would have kept Dwight Howard around, assuming he would have come back on a minimum, which is what he signed in Philadelphia, which is a big assumption to make. Like, I don't know that he would have stayed on a minimum, but
I don't know that this would have been possible. I don't know what their contracts look like, but definitely Serge Ibaka would have made a lot more sense than Montrezl Harrell.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Yeah,
damn. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it works out.
It's still LeBron and Anthony Davis, which is why I think they'll win the regular season. But
yeah, and it seems like Serge kind of wanted to go play with Kawhi,
right?
But I 100% agree that would have made a lot more sense. Do you want to take us to your number 2 overall team?
How are we going to do this? Because our number 2s, I'm sure, are going to be different.
Okay. Yeah. So you do your number 2, and if they are different, I'll do my number 2.
Okay, we can just do it like that. Okay. So for me,
just to be clear, I had the Lakers as my number 1 as well.
Okay. So for me, my number 2 with 47 wins in the regular season is your Portland Trailblazers.
Baby.
Wait, you put them at the number 2 seed?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Let me tell you why.
The thing is, I can see it, actually. I'm not even going to argue with you.
Let me tell you why. Wins. Yes, 47 wins. You look at our first half of the schedule, we're not going to lose more than 12 or 13 games. I don't even know if we'll lose 10 games in the first half of our schedule. Like, this is serious. And one thing that I think about the Portland Trailblazers, we made 2 starter changes, and I think we're going to have the best chemistry or one of the best chemistry teams in the NBA because the players that we added are seamless to put onto any roster. And we have I think it's more likely than out of the 2 that maybe DJJ doesn't work out as well as Rocco in the starting. Like, maybe there's more growing pains with that. I just feel like Rocco's so established in his role and Derek Jones is still kind of finding that a little bit. But I mean, we can always start Rodney Hood instead. We can always start Carmelo instead. Like, we have so many guys, like our chemistry is just going to be crazy. And we fixed our problems. We fixed the size problem and the defensive problem at the wing. Like, I think this is definitely good enough to be a second seeded team after seeing the first half schedule, especially.
Absolutely. And when you look at the Blazers, obviously you look at offense first. Like, the offense has been top 6 in the NBA 3 out of the last 5 years. I think it's been top 3 for the last 2 years. And the offense got better this year. It just got better. Like, at any point, you're going to have at least 2, but probably 3 elite shooters. So that's Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. And then Rodney Hood and Gary Trent would slide into that.
And Robert Covington
as well.
Bro, you guys have so many good players. It's actually wild.
Yeah. And then you're guaranteed to have at least 3, but probably 4 above average 3-point shooters. So throw Covington into that mix. Throw
Melo, honestly.
Yeah, throw Melo into that mix. Probably not Derek Jones Jr. right away, but maybe he gets there.
Maybe he gets there.
Zach Collins, again, will probably fall just short of that benchmark, but still a respectable shooter.
Same with Nurkic. Nurkic is getting respect out there now. We saw that in the bubble.
That's a great point too. Yeah, Nurkic even as well. So the offense is going to be good. The starting lineup they've said is going to be Dame, CJ, Robert Covington, Derek Jones Jr., and Nurkic, and that's a very
let's go.
That's a very solid offensive lineup and does a great job of balancing offense and defense. Throw Gary Trent Jr. in there instead of Derek Jones Jr., and that's just nasty on offense, honestly. That
Rodney Hood.
Or Rodney Hood. Those 2 lineups can easily be the most efficient offensive lineup in the NBA. There's no question in my mind. That's just filthy. And so
every single one of those players is capable of scoring at a high level.
Yeah.
That's really rare on an NBA roster.
No kidding. And then we brought in defenders who are not only versatile and will help us run a variety of schemes, which was just something that was out of the question for us last year. But also if we do choose to just go into your standard vanilla Terry Stotts hard drop coverage, they'll fit beautifully in that as well, because Robert Covington and Derek Jones Jr. are 2 of the best help defenders in the league. Both of them, as Neil O'Shea kept bragging about, are in the 80th percentile of both the blocks and steals category. So Covington and Derek Jones just have tremendous noses for the ball, which will help our defense out a ton, especially with Dame and CJ. Oftentimes those 2 guys allow penetration, and just to have 2 guys who will step up and make the right read every time is just going to be so huge for us. Well, Derek Jones Jr., I don't know if he'll make the right read every time. He's still kind of learning, but Robert Covington will.
Yeah. Sure.
And
go ahead.
And then having Zach and Nurk, just 2 awesome rim protectors back there. This defense is going to be, I think, top 10. The offense is going to be top 5.
I would say top 3, honestly. Top 3. That's what I'm saying. But just to add to the point of the offensive threat, not only are these guys capable of scoring, I don't even need to say about 1 through 4, but even Nurkic, we're multifaceted scorers. Every one of those players can shoot it and get to the basket. It's not like a situation, because the first thing I thought of was, okay, what about the Lakers? Montrezl Harrell can't shoot it. You know what I'm saying?
No.
It's so rare to have 5 players who can not only score, but can score in different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a help too to have Nurkic be a capable passer, because for all we love about Damian Lillard, the passing's not necessarily his strong suit. Mm-hmm. So to have Nurkic on a short roll to kind of bail Dame out, and then you can trust Nurk to either find Gary Trent or Robert Covington in the corner or throw a lob to Derek Jones slashing to the basket. Just having that sort of fallback option for Dame, knowing Nurk will make the right read, is just going to be something that helps out this offense a lot. And you couldn't say the same thing about Hassan Whiteside last year, and we still had a top 3 offense. So,
and it's so bad for other teams, because you have no choice but to guard Damian Lillard 30 feet out. You have no choice, because he'll just shoot it every time and only get 40% of the time. So you have to go all the way up there. And then if you set a screen, Nurkic is wide open in the middle, because you also have to guard CJ McCollum and Gary Trent Jr. and now Robert Covington in the corners. You can't sag off of these guys. So the middle's wide open and Nurkic is there by himself. So either he has a dunk or someone's helping and there's a wide open shot or a slash. It's scary.
This team is ridiculous. The over-under is set at 41 wins. That's free money as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I'll go 40. I'll go 45.
45?
That's good.
Sounds good.
Dude, I'm actually kind of scared. If the Blazers can stay healthy,
it's the health, for sure.
Because they're gonna have the depth to make deep runs.
Yeah. We didn't even talk about bringing Enes Kanter and what that does.
Yeah, I would say before we move on, my one concern for this Blazers team would be at the backup point guard spot. Obviously, we all hope Anthony Simons can turn into that guy, and I mean, I definitely think he can. Whether he will this year is a different question.
But I thought the same thing. But watching all their press conferences, a lot of them addressed that thing, and I'm not worried about it anymore because the message was clear. You have Dame or CJ running point guard 95% of the time.
Right.
And
Anthony Simons is as capable as anyone else that's playing point guard for 5% of a game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's why I'm not too worried. It's just because you can stagger Dame and CJ, which is what we've done pretty much nonstop for the past 5 years. And so it would be nothing new. Honestly, if Anthony Simons progresses, that's just a luxury for this Blazers team.
Yeah.
So, but you're absolutely right. Like staggering Dame and CJ has been worked out so well for us in the past that there's no reason to be like scared of having to do that again. So
like it would not have been worth like prioritizing a point guard over Derek Jones Jr. or something like that.
Oh, yeah, no question about it. So I guess I'll move on to who I had as the number 2 seed. And I did have the Blazers as my number 3 seed, 1 game behind the team I had at number 2, which is, again, the LA Clippers.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I had them at 47 wins.
Mm-hmm. That's funny. I have the Clippers at the 3 seed at 46 wins.
Yeah. That's funny. So we just have them completely reversed.
It's one game, dude. Like, that really means nothing.
Yeah, it's one bounce of the ball. So, yeah, basically.
You going with Vegas on this one?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. So I really hope that this Clippers team kind of comes out with a chip on their shoulder. Like, they got embarrassed by the Nuggets. Like, there's no other way to put it. And they faced a nonstop brigade on like their chemistry and just people kind of saying that this team doesn't fit together and can't win together. And so I really hope the Clippers come out with a chip on their shoulder and try to prove those wrong, prove those like people wrong. But in reality, as much as I like this Clippers team, I just don't think they're built for the regular season. And that's not a criticism of the way this roster was constructed. If anything, that's a compliment. But I just think they have a lot of guys who make more sense in the playoffs. Like Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, they're 2 best players. Those are guys who like to isolate and create shots for themselves, but not so much 2 guys who really are great players within like the flow of
and especially of a regular season game.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why we love those 2 guys in particular, Kawhi, so much. Is because if opposing defenses can really focus in the playoffs, which is what so often happens, and kind of throw a wrench into the offensive machine, offensive systems oftentimes fail. But to have a guy like Kawhi and a guy like Paul George who just are kind of creating their own shots and relying more on one-on-one skill anyway, those players become very valuable in the playoffs. CJ McCollum, same deal there. So so I think this team is really well constructed again for the playoffs. I think Serge Ibaka is going to help them a lot, but I just think their offense is a little bit too station to station in the regular season. I just think they probably have a lot of guys who are going to load manage, probably not engaged. So I don't think they'll be a dominant regular season team, but I think 47-25 sounds about right.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like I said, I was only 1 game different. So
yeah,
I do think the addition of Serge helps them a lot.
Me
that'd be
too.
Cool. Shoot, dude, I might as well. I'll just go with Vegas on this one. I'll go 47-25.
Okay. Sounds good.
What's gonna be? Are you guys 4 seeds different?
Shannon?
I honestly, you might have someone else. I have Denver at 4.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, nice. Let's go. That's it. Oh, they've got Denver winning 44. Damn.
Damn, I don't know if I can give him 44. So what? So my 3 was at 46. Well,
Oh wait, I'm sorry. I don't have Denver as my 4 seed.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Do you want to say who you have?
Do you want to talk about Denver first?
I don't care. We can go either way. Let's talk about your 4 seed first.
1 sec. Is 36 and 36 a little generous?
For who?
The Rockets.
Yeah, I would probably. That's more than what I gave them, but the Rockets are a crapshoot at this point. My 4 seed was the Utah Jazz.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
To me, like the Jazz and the Nuggets are like the same team. I don't know. I feel like they're really similarly like, I don't know, talent wise. I don't know why. I just think of them as one and the same.
And their best player is the center, and they both have dynamic young guards.
Spida.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, they are very similar for sure. So how many games do you have Utah winning?
So Utah, I have them at 43 wins.
Okay.
Should we talk Jazz for a little bit?
Sure, let's do it. Convince me, because I have them quite a bit lower than 4.
You think Rudy Gobert is the best player on the Jazz?
Well, not that much, but
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Jazz are a team that really disappointed me last year. This is kind of an embarrassing subject to go back to for me, but let's do it anyway. I said last year that the Jazz would have the best regular season record. And just to the extent in which they did not have the best regular season record in the NBA was very disheartening to me, especially they struggled a lot early in the regular season. But I still think the infrastructure is in place for this team to just be so good on both sides of the ball, because on offense, you've got two really solid ball handlers like Donovan Mitchell, elite scorer, Mike Conley, a great decision maker, great player in the pick and roll, and combine that with the best screen setter in the NBA, Rudy Gobert, and elite floor spacing, whether it's Jordan Clarkson, Joe Ingles, Bojan Bogdanovic, Royce O'Neal, not as much, but still can shoot a little bit. Same goes for George Niang. I just think that is a recipe for a very solid offense. And Quinn Snyder as a coach, I generally like the schemes that he could come up with. So I found myself like kind of really attracted to what I thought this team could be last year, and it just never really came together. Like the chemistry was off. Bogdanovic obviously got injured before the bubble and didn't play in the seeding games or the playoffs, but I really still think that offense could work. And then last year the defense took a step back, which was probably the biggest thorn in the side of this Jazz team. And a lot of people blamed that on the departure of Derek Favors. That Twin Towers lineup with Favors and Gobert would just stifle opponents so much defensively, even if it's not the most modern offensive lineup. And Favors is back this year, and I don't think he'll have the starting power forward position like he did during his first stint with the Jazz. I think he's going to be more of a backup center who does probably play some minutes at the 4 alongside Gobert, but that's more of a that's more of a change-up look rather than what their base lineup will be. But I think he'll definitely help with the defense a little bit. I think Donovan Mitchell is still improving on that end, and having Royce O'Neal, George Niang, Joe Ingles, solid perimeter defenders. I think this defense probably gets back into the top 6, and I think the offense top 10. So I just really think this is a very solid team.
I agree. I really like the Utah Jazz. Watching Spida is a pleasure. I freaking love that guy, dude.
How many wins do you want to give him, Cal?
I'm going to give him Vegas is going 43. I'll give him 45.
45? Okay. Shannon, I'm curious, did I change your mind at all?
Not really.
Not really?
Honestly. I just I feel like the disappointment is kind of a common theme with Utah, and I'm not really that sure why that is. Mm-hmm. But they always seem to underperform. I feel like they're always kind of overestimated about how good they're going to be, and it just doesn't seem to translate that well. I honestly don't know how much I like Rudy Gobert in a playoff situation. And we're talking about the regular season, but I think that I don't feel like I feel like you have to be more of an offensive threat in today's NBA than I think he is in order to be successful in the playoffs, especially as being the best player on your team. And so that kind of like leads me away from the Jazz, especially in the playoffs. I will say that I think that the West is going to be so close like that. There's probably like there's just like a few games between like my last really all of my teams. So
yeah,
it's really not that big of a difference. But I think so if this is, let me think. So I had them at so I'm actually gonna put Utah, I think, at 41 wins.
41. Okay.
Wow. Regardless, if you get in the 40s, I feel like that's a decent season.
Yeah, and that's still a record of a playoff team. And like Shannon was saying, just this middle tier in the West, the 4 teams, Blazers, Jazz, Nuggets, Mavericks. Some people would probably put the Warriors or the Suns in there. Maybe the Rockets if James Harden stays. Those teams, you could make a case for any of those teams over any of the other teams.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
Jonah, what is the Phoenix Suns? They changed their colors.
The Suns?
Yeah.
No. Purple and orange.
Oh, it looks like red.
Oh, it does.
Oh, does it? Look at the red and the Trailblazers under it.
So let's hit on who Shannon had as his
I can't scroll in.
Or 4th seed, I guess, the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, so I think obviously Jeremy Grant, the departure of Jeremy Grant is a problem for them. And who else did they lose? Who was it? Torrey Craig or?
Yeah, Torrey Craig and then Mason Plumlee.
Okay, yeah. So Torrey Craig, same kind of deal. Like it puts a hole a little bit in the defense and kind of what the chemistry had. I do think we'll see MPJ step up a little bit. I think we saw in the bubble that he's a pretty capable player. Mm-hmm. If it weren't for Grant and like really the changes they made, honestly, I might have had them. It would have been competitive for me to have them above the Clippers, but obviously they did make those changes. But I still think, like we saw, especially in the bubble, like if they stay healthy, Murray and Jokic are just a very, very, very deadly duo.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
I'm actually going to agree with Vegas and say that that's enough for them to get 44 wins in the West.
Yeah.
Jonah.
Mm-hmm.
You think Jamal can carry over what he did in the bubble to like actually doing that consistently?
Yeah, obviously Jamal's not going to be as good as he was in the bubble. I think the question for this Nuggets team is just how far is he going to regress? And I don't mean regression as a bad thing. Like,
no, but yeah, it's definitely unrealistic. Like,
yeah, because I mean, like, I'm like a huge Damian Lillard fan, and I'd say obviously Damian Lillard's going to regress from what he was in the bubble. Like,
yeah,
players go on hot streaks. Jamal Murray happens to be the kind of player who can get on a hot streak and ride it quite a bit and play some really good basketball and then have some very mediocre stretches. Luckily, over his career, the hot stretches have always come in crucial moments. So like the playoff run he had this year, or I guess last year, I guess would be the correct phrasing now, was just insane. The year before that in the 2019 playoffs, he was huge. He basically almost single-handedly led them to beating the Spurs. Like he was probably their best player against the Spurs in that series. And then he carried it over and had a pretty nice series against the Portland Trailblazers, even if it was in a losing effort. So, but like I said, Murray is just a guy who like can go through cold stretches too. He was awful during the regular season this year, the 2019-20 regular season. Sure, he dealt with ankle injuries all year, but he just was not playing very good. And Jokic is another guy who tends to bring his best basketball in the playoffs and tend to take a while to warm up to the regular season. I had him as my first team All-NBA center. I remember going into the NBA season last year, and I had him as like a sneaky MVP contender. And
really,
he's just not so much a regular season guy. I don't think the loss of Grant hurts them in particular during the regular season. I think he's more of a playoff guy. Like
that's
in the regular season, you've got like your Will Bardens and your Paul Millsaps and all sorts of guys, Gary Harris, that like they're not PJ Dozier is a guy who played. So they're not like poor for wing players. I just think in such a short regular season to have star players who aren't necessarily known for their like regular season output. I just don't think this is going to be an elite regular season team. I've got them at 41 wins. I think they're going to be about the same in the playoffs. I think JaMychal Green was a good get for them. He kind of can bridge the gap and play a lot of the Plumlee and Grant minutes, and then maybe like Bol or PJ Dozier or one of the young guys steps up and like carries the rest of that load. But as a regular season team, I think they're good. Like we keep saying, like this is just so close in the West, but I think they're going to be a little bit worse than the Jazz.
Yeah, I think that definitely makes sense. Part of my assumption is made based on the possibility that the success that Jamal Murray had, and also Jokic, and like we saw Jokic lose a lot of weight before the bubble. Also, I think that maybe that could carry over into more regular season motivation than we've seen in the past, but that could totally not translate. And I could absolutely see them switching places with the Jazz.
Yeah, and I mean, and our projections are only 3 games off, so I don't think we have like these crazy contrasting opinions. I think we pretty much agree on the quality of this team and just our standings shaped out just slightly differently.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
Kellan?
I think that they'll win. I think they'll win 40.
40, okay.
I think they can win 40 games.
So are we at our 5th seeds now?
Yeah, who do you have at 5, Jonah?
I'm almost certain we have the same team left, and that's the Dallas Mavericks, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. The Dallas Mavericks. It's kind of insane how my opinion of them has just kind of been bungee jumping the past, ever since they got eliminated from the playoffs. I've been everywhere from thinking they would win the Western Conference to being the 6th seed, and I finally settled in on them at the 5 seed. So at certain points I was like, well, this team has Luka Doncic. Luka's a guy who I could easily see winning the MVP this season. He'll be in my top 3 MVP candidates for sure. He's just a dominant player. He had a historically awesome regular season last year. The Mavericks' most efficient offense in NBA history, if you're just looking at raw data. And so, I don't think there's any reason to expect their offense to take some huge drop. What really started to kind of concern me, though, is this team has their entire starting front court injured right now. Dwight Powell and Kristaps, who are their starting bigs last year, both of them are out. Dwight Powell will be out for the entire season. Kristaps, we don't know when he's coming back. And the reason I don't think it'll be that debilitating is I happen to be pretty high on Maxi Kleber. I think he's a very underrated player. And I also think Willie Cauley-Stein, I think the Mavericks can kind of make him shine in the system, even if he was just miserable for them last season in the few games he played. But I think those guys can step up and carry the load. I have one other bigger concern about him, but Shannon, do you want to talk about him really quick before I hit that?
No, I want to hear your concern.
Okay, so my bigger concern is last year we saw the backbone of this team just be the best offense in NBA history. You had Luka Doncic, possibly already the best pick and roll playmaker in the NBA. You surrounded him with shooting, Seth Curry, Tim Hardaway Jr., both very solid shooters. And you surrounded him with a variety of pick and roll combinations. So whether it was Dwight Powell and later on in that season, Willie Cauley-Stein, who are both athletic, high-flying, fast rim runners, or a guy like Maxi Kleber, or a guy like Kristaps, who can fade and shoot the 3. Kristaps cannot finish inside. Maxi is a little bit better at that. But just you got Luka Doncic, an elite basketball savant, and you surrounded him with a high variety of tools that allowed him to pretty much do anything he wanted. But the team faltered in the playoffs, and I think a lot of that was just due to not having the elite one-on-one wing defenders, and Kawhi Leonard and Paul George basically ended their season. So they addressed that concern this year. They brought in James Johnson. They brought in Wes Iwundu. I'm forgetting somebody.
Richardson.
Yeah, Josh Richardson. Thank you. They brought in 3 really good perimeter defenders. But I don't think in either of those 3 guys, in particular, Iwundu and Johnson. And then Josh Richardson has a specific offensive skill set, but I don't know if it's as conducive to the Mavericks. I just think those 3 are kind of going to weigh down the offense, and sure, they're going to be a huge help to the Mavs come playoff time. But I just think for a system that was as refined as Dallas was last year, and that relies so much on just having the best offense possible, these 2 guys are definitely going to are going to take the offense down a notch, which is fine. You've got to make sacrifices, and they just sacrificed a little bit of offense to have wing defenders. But I just think as a regular season as like a regular season value add. I just think this kind of takes down the regular season win total a little bit for me.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I do think, like, you probably considering this too, because if it weren't for this, I think they might be even lower. But I think Luka Doncic is the type of player, kind of what you see in LeBron, where when you're playing with him, you play your best realistically. Same with like Stephen Curry, players like that. So I think we'll see Josh Richardson's offense come back to kind of what it was in Miami, maybe a little bit. Mm-hmm. I just think that Luka's the type of player who, like I just said, he makes you the best version of yourself. And he's just like so good at like, he's so good at bringing the best qualities out of players that I think that even with like some guys down, they'll still be able to get this 5 seed. Like I think we'll see Willie Cauley-Stein have a good season, kind of play how he was in Sacramento when he was kind of balling out a little bit.
Yeah, because all Josh Richardson is going to be asked to do is just shoot open 3-pointers and attack closeouts in advantage situations. And both of those things Josh Richardson can do. And when we talked about wing defenders, I probably should have added Josh Green, the guy they drafted, kind of that similar mold. So, and I thought they nailed the draft too, because I want to talk about Tyrell Terry. When we can't leave the Mavericks without.
I was literally about to mention him
without me bringing up Tyrell Terry, who I think is going to fit beautifully into the Seth Curry role. I think if anything, he's overqualified to play that role on this Mavs team. So I'm excited to see him play.
Let's go. I have them winning 42.
42. And I had them winning 41.
Cool. Yeah, so I just have them one game ahead of the Jazz. So it's very easily these teams can slip around.
I'm going to say 39. Just change her up. Dude, I can't wait, dude. The West is kind of stacked.
This is when things are going to get interesting, I think.
Yeah.
The 7th seed. Why don't we switch this up a little bit? Kellan, is there a team we haven't brought up yet that you might be high on this year?
Oh, yeah. There's a team. The Golden State Warriors, Bro, can I just say right off the bat who I think how many games they're going to win?
Yeah.
All right, bro. If everybody stays healthy, I'm putting them at 55 games.
Okay.
I think they can win 55 games. I'm not kidding you. And that would put them at what?
The best team in the NBA.
Yeah, that would put them at the 1 seed, right?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. That would put them at the number 1 overall seed. I think you had Milwaukee winning 53 games.
But if Steph gets hurt or something, I'm dropping that baby down to 36 really quick.
Could you describe where the 55 wins come from a little bit?
Where the 55 games come from, I think James Wiseman's going to have I think he's going to come onto the scene. And then also, like, I don't know. I feel like Andrew Wiggins is going to have a good season. And also, what else? Oh, I think that having an actual big man is going to be insane for us because we haven't had one in a super long time. And also, like, let me think. Brad Wanamaker, that's going to be a good backup point guard. And then who else? Bruh. Don't put me on the spot like this, dude. I think that honestly, I just don't know. I feel like Draymond Green, like, I don't know, dude.
Okay, so just to clarify, the 3-headed dragon of Steph, James Wiseman, and Andrew Wiggins with the backup play of Brad Wanamaker should lead them to 55 wins.
I think, dude, I just don't know. They just got something special.
I think you're also forgetting a very important addition.
Yeah, Kelly. I'm just not completely sold on Kelly yet, though.
You're making me blush.
I don't know.
Oh, so he's not part of that equation? Maybe we see him drop back and not get a whole lot of minutes.
Yeah. I just really think that they could be good, dude. I don't know. I just can't wait to watch the season, dog. I don't know. I just feel like they could be really good.
For context, over the course of an 82-game season, Kellan has the Warriors on track for a 63-19 record.
Yeah, that's pretty fire.
Yeah. That is a good record given this.
I really think they could do this. I think they can get 55 games, dude.
So what if they had Klay Thompson healthy?
See, I think if they had Klay Thompson healthy, dude, they're getting. I think they would go 60.
Okay, so are you implying that a healthy Klay Thompson with this team would make them better than the team with Finals MVP Andre Iguodala and who else was on that team? Like that one guy who is his, what's his name? He was from a different country.
Andrew Bogut?
No, he was like a wing
Festus?
player. He was really fast.
Sean Livingston?
No, but him too. Sean Livingston. I'm not gonna remember his name, but would that make them better than that team?
I mean, they actually have like depth this year. It's not just like KD anymore.
So they have. Do you think they have more depth than they did in the first championship they won?
Probably not. Well, I don't really know, dude.
Okay.
Shannon, do you want to be the first to debunk Kellan's prediction?
Okay. So from my standpoint, I see the Warriors winning 38 this year, and the reason for that is because when we look at the other teams in the West, there's just so many weapons. Like, I mean, if you look at the top 3 seeds, the Lakers, I'm not going to go into it, but the Lakers, Blazers, and the Clippers, what we're projecting to be top 3, I think there's just so many weapons. Well, not Kellan's top 3, obviously, but I think there's just so many different weapons and guys that can get it done and names that you can mention that a team with the Warriors who like we've talked about before with Klay Thompson and what he does for their system. I think when you take that out of the equation, I think they hurt quite a bit, especially on the offensive end, because Stephen Curry, I think I've said before that I think Dame's the best point guard. I think realistically, it's safe to say that Steph is probably the number 1 point guard in the NBA, but part of what he does so well is set other guys up and play within that system. And he's so good at moving the ball. And as a team, they've always been so good at doing that. And when you add a ball stopper guy like Andrew Wiggins, who I'm sure will have the best season he's had with the Warriors, but still, I think it's a lot different for the Warriors than what we've seen in the past. And I don't think that's enough for them to compete with the teams with all the weapons that I have at the top of the West.
I just feel like when I look at some of the better teams in the league, Warriors aren't that far off talent-wise.
Well, I kind of want to touch on, again, what Shannon was saying. And I think so often we can just kind of fall into the mindset of just thinking, oh, like Stephen Curry, one of the best players in the NBA, obviously probably one of the most exciting players I've ever watched in my lifetime. Just an insanely good shooter, insanely skilled player. But like Shannon was saying, he does fit well into the system that Golden State's put in front of him. And that system is so important. And I think a lot of times we kind of forget that so much of that system is built on shooting and playmaking. Like Andre Iguodala, Sean Livingston, both extremely smart basketball players. Draymond, a really smart basketball player. All 3 of those guys kept the ball moving, could see the court so well, could find Steph if he relocated into the corner, or find Draymond if he came off a pin down screen onto the wing and find him for that open shot. Kelly Oubre, Andrew Wiggins, James Wiseman, for all their specific weaknesses, none of those 3 are especially known for their feel for the game. None of them are really shooters. So Steve Kerr is going to have to figure something out, because these 3 players who are in theory going to be 3 players who are in his starting lineup just do not fit any sort of concept that he's run in the past. And I think people think that just throwing in Steph will just make all those problems go away. But let me remind you guys, the Warriors sucked even when Stephen Curry was playing last year. The first 3 games of the season and that last game against the Raptors, I would remember just looking at my phone on, it must have been Halloween or the day before Halloween, October 30th or something, first week of the regular season, just looking at my phone and being like, the Warriors lost to the Thunder by how much? Like it was just kind of was taking people aback just how bad this team was, even with Stephen Curry. And granted, Steve Kerr and Steph, they would have come up with something if Steph hadn't gotten hurt. Like they wouldn't have been that bad all season. Yeah. But asking them to be a playoff team this year is just a jump to me. And I think they will be in that conversation. And I don't think this team's going to be awful, but I just don't really think it makes sense yet. And I think they're relying on Draymond Green a lot too, because last time we saw this Warriors team at the peak of their powers, like Steph Curry, they had the luxury of being able to hide him because they had one of the best backcourt all-NBA defenders in the league in Klay Thompson, who could take on the toughest perimeter challenge. They don't have the luxury of doing that anymore. Like Kelly Oubre is fine, but he kind of shies away from contact, doesn't get over the screens. He's not an elite backcourt defender. Andrew Wiggins has his specific set of problems. And so Stephen Curry all of a sudden is going to be tasked with a very real role on the defensive side of the ball and is going to have to carry this team offensively. And that's just a lot to ask for a guy who's in his 30s. And you're putting a lot of pressure on Draymond, who you'd imagine he has a little bit more left in the tank than what he showed last year, but I have a hard time counting on it, which is what this Warriors team is going to be forced to do, because James Wiseman, as much as I like him and as I think he'll be a solid center, there's going to be a learning curve for him, to be sure. He's going to foul a lot. He jumps at everything. He goes for blocks like a madman. And so he's going to be fouling a lot. You kind of need that adult in the room. You need Draymond back there to clean up some mistakes and kind of play free safety like he's been able to during the best defensive years in his career, where he was legitimately the best defensive player in the NBA. And he's going to have to be that guy if the Warriors want any shot at being a top 15 defense, which I just don't think Draymond's that guy anymore. And I'm going to say one last thing, and this might sound a little bit hot take-ish. And I think for Warriors fans, this should register as a 1 out of 10 on the concern level. But we're a couple weeks away from the regular season, and I haven't heard a peep about a Steph Curry extension. He became extension eligible this offseason, and it's just been complete silence on that front, which is he's going to be a free agent in 2 years, and I don't know how much traction they have towards a new deal. I mean, if I was Steph's agent, I would tell him to wait, not just because the future is so uncertain in the Bay, but also because monetarily you want to maximize how much money you can make while you're in your prime, which would lead you to waiting another year or two before inking your next deal. But just something to kind of monitor. I'm going to have the Warriors winning 37 games this year, and I think that's pretty generous, but that just shows how much trust I have in Steve Kerr to be able to figure something out.
Yeah, I think, Jonah, you make tons and tons and tons of excellent points there. And one thing that I kind of want to expand on is just, you talked about so much weight on Stephen Curry. And I think as tremendous of a player as he is, I think it's important to recognize that he is a point guard, and it's a lot different to be a dominant point guard than it is to be a dominant overall player. If you look at a LeBron James, he can dominate anybody on the court. A point guard, it's from just a size standpoint, you just can't always do that. There's going to be guys that are just too big. And it's the same for, Damian Lillard, whatever other point guard you want to name. There's going to come a time where you put LeBron James on Stephen Curry, he's going to get some stops more so than if you put Stephen Curry on LeBron James. You know what I mean? That size impacts your ability to carry a team truly. But I do feel like Steph is enough to get them to the 7th seed.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I'm talking about Steph actually having to play a real role, I'm not saying he's going to be guarding the best player team. I'm just saying that there's going to be bigger consequences if he can't competently play on ball for a few possessions.
Definitely, yeah.
So, which he hardly ever had to do that when Golden State was sort of in their prime. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does. And while he carries probably one of the biggest offensive loads in the NBA. So,
yeah.
I can't wait for New Year's.
Is that when we play you guys?
Yeah, I played back to back. And nice. Then we play
Oh, that's when the back-to-back is?
That'll be fun.
So lit. I wish we could go, dude.
Yeah, me too.
How about we just try
But
to
it's
go,
the Blazers at Warriors, though.
Oh, okay.
I can't wait to pod after that game. That'll be fun.
Oh, facts.
Dude, I think that you guys are high-key sleeping.
I just don't see that the weapons are there. Like, I just don't think there's enough.
I think that they definitely have weapons, though, dude. Like, I mean, they have never had a serious guy that could get boards, and now they have one.
I mean, didn't Draymond Green lead the league in boards one season? Or am I wrong?
Yeah, but like not a dominant big man that can get offensive rebound. That's what like killed us in like our playoff runs. That's why games were always tight. Is we never capitalized on getting offensive rebounds. The other teams always like had the advantage like on offensive.
I mean,
boards.
There is James Wiseman, but it's important to recognize that he's a rookie. And also, if you, for example, the Blazers, you have Nurkic, and then when you pull him out, you also have Enes Kanter, and if you pull him out, you have Zach Collins, and if you pull him out, you have Harry Giles. You know what I mean? Like
we got Marquise Chris, dog.
Yeah.
Kevon Looney.
No, Kevon Looney actually, if he stays healthy, I think he can be solid. I mean,
side note,
Looney
Jonah,
is a massive part of our freaking playoff.
Jonah, do you already have one of those like the jackets that are like the warm up ones that have like the Blazers thing on them? You know, like the ones I'm talking about that are like zip up and they have the hood, like the on-court ones. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but there are a few like different colors and stuff of them. But,
okay, because I was on eBay and there's a bunch of red ones on there for like $50-$60 brand new.
Oh, yeah,
Just
I
letting you know.
have that one.
Oh, okay, dang. Because I was like, that's a steal, bro.
Yeah, those are sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I freaking like our roster, guy. And we got Baby Dre.
I would be very happy to be proven wrong. I think we all want to see some more prime Steph with the Golden State Warriors.
I just think if you're like making like predictions just based on like established players and like reality, I think that's what puts them at the win total I have them at.
Yeah. And I want to hear Shannon's answer to this too. But when I predict the Warriors to go 37-35, baked into that prediction, like this is my record if Stephen Curry is a first or second all-NBA, all-team. First or second all-NBA guy. Like, no
question. This is under the assumption that he's back in the MVP conversation.
Yeah. Like this is probably one of the very highest end outcomes that I'd be willing to go for.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. If Steph takes any step backwards from what we've seen in him, I don't think there's any chance we see them make the playoffs.
No. Yeah, totally. I bet we have the same team next, Shannon.
Ooh, I have the Suns.
Yep, me too.
Okay, cool. Because there's other teams that could definitely slide into that.
Yeah, I think so. But I think the Suns make a lot of sense.
Yeah, definitely. Did I give the Warriors 38 wins?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So I have the Sun one game behind them.
Okay.
37.
Man, dude, I can't wait for the season to start, guy.
I'm excited to watch the Suns, actually. This is a team I'm really excited about.
Yeah, me too.
Because I remember, who was it, Draymond Green that tweeted get Devin Booker out of Phoenix or something like that? It was somebody.
Did he tweet it or did he say it?
He said it on.
Oh, he said it. Yeah,
television.
He got fined, didn't he?
I mean, yeah, that sounds like tampering to me. So
yeah, I think he got fined. But dude, imagine if Devin Booker would have went to the Warriors, trade Klay Thompson. But yeah, I think CP3, Devin Booker, Ayton, like I think that's nasty. I think that's to me superior than any of the other.
You just named 3 players though.
You named 3 players for the Warriors winning 55 games, bro.
Yeah, no, but like the Warriors, they have way more depth than the Suns, guy.
No, bro.
No.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Kellan.
Okay, who's on the Suns? Let's look at the Suns roster.
Okay, no, let's look at the 3 players we named. Okay, I named.
Yeah,
CP3.
I named Brad. I named Brad Wanamaker, James Wiseman, and Steph Curry.
So
okay, yeah.
I'm
naming CP3, Devin Booker, and Ayton, bro. You can't tell me those 3 aren't superior to the Warriors 3.
We'll see.
Like I'm putting that trust.
Okay, Devin Booker is good, but CP3,
I know I'm putting that extra
like,
trust.
Okay.
CP3 is an all-time point guard, bro. Hold on now. Did you see him last season, bro? Did you see what he did in OKC?
Yeah, I know he was really good at OKC last season.
Me putting the Warriors over the Phoenix is because of Steve Kerr and what he's been able to do and like how adaptable he is. If it were from a roster standpoint, I'm picking Phoenix.
Okay.
Yeah. And I actually have them tied, but I have Phoenix ahead of the Warriors. Like, I have them tied record-wise, but I have Phoenix as my 7 seed.
Yeah.
Just because, like I said, the Warriors was like the highest I was willing to go. And I think the Phoenix Suns have a ceiling beyond 37 wins.
Yeah.
So I guess the first thing I kind of wanted to talk about with the Phoenix Suns is when they initially signed, or not signed, but traded for Chris Paul. I was a little bit critical of him just because, sure, this move makes him just infinitely better in the immediate. But I think I compared it to like a sugar rush. It's going to help them a lot. It's going to give them a huge boost right now, but it's going to kind of leave them a little bit like lacking in the future, for lack of a better word. Like, the opportunity cost was a major part of this deal, because although they could have structured it to still have their powder dry for free agency, they chose to pull the trigger before the start of free agency, which locked them out of the cap space derby. Like, I happen to like the fit and the idea of Fred VanVleet in Phoenix quite a lot, and they punted on that by just trading for Chris Paul. They could have drafted Tyrese Halliburton. They just could have like planned for the future. Like, in either 1 or 2 years, Chris Paul is going to be a free agent, and if he leaves, who's the point guard on this roster? Like,
right. And also, in 1 or 2 years, he's going to be very old, and he's still so effective, but he can't be that forever.
Yeah, 100%. And so, if anything, I would have liked to have like the heir apparent on the roster. And in absence of that, like, sure, it's going to be cool to have Chris Paul and they're going to be really good, but I have concerns about this team's long-term future, because they didn't really address the point guard position when Booker and Aiden are going to be in their primes, which is what I would be the most concerned about if I was in James Jones' shoes as general manager of the team.
I think I might have said this before, but I assume what they're thinking is that you bring him in as like immediate win value. And we talked about maybe Booker wanting to get into the playoffs now, and that might have been a conversation they had. But also, like, he's a guy with like as much NBA knowledge as anybody, and just the mentorship that he can provide. And maybe you just hope that you can add in a point guard that is like the type of point guard who can mesh with any team in the future.
Yeah, 100%. And then, so I guess to kind of pivot to the on-court product we're going to be seeing in Phoenix this year, it's going to be interesting, because a lot of what we loved about the Suns last year was sort of the run and gun. They played a lot in transition. They had players like Booker, and especially like Kelly Oubre, who got let go, that definitely excelled getting up and down the court, liked to like force steals. Oubre is a big passing lanes guy, just run after rebounds, just play a fast-paced team like young teams tend to do. Chris Paul is like the opposite of that. Chris Paul likes to slow the game down to a grind, and sort of just like, and this isn't a bad thing, but he just likes to take his time and run like more intricate offenses and plays like just more on the half court, like older point guards tend to do. But Chris Paul sort of has done this his whole career. So I think bringing in Chris Paul kind of goes against the ethos that the Suns established on court. I think they have players like Booker who do excel in the half court. And so I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It's just going to be an adjustment.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up, is I think, Booker's a tremendous one-on-one player. So I think that honestly, maybe moving out Oubre with the addition of Chris Paul maybe makes a little more sense. But
yeah, true. For sure. Yeah, I do not think Oubre would have fit on this team whatsoever. And I guess on that note, let's talk about the wing depth on this team, because I think that is where they shine. I know Paul and Booker, an awesome backcourt, but the wings on this team really impressed me, because you've got Mikal Bridges. You signed Jay Crowder to a 3-year, $30 million.
That's right. I forgot about Crowder.
And then off the bench, Cam Johnson had a really solid rookie campaign. He presumably will be back and still getting better. Is there somebody I forgot? Oh, Dario Saric is the guy they brought back, and he just adds some spacing. He can be like he played center for them some in the bubble. He can like just as that change of pace if you want to go like a supercharged offensive lineup and just have a lot of shooting at the 5.
Yeah, for sure.
Dario Saric is a good option there.
No doubt.
And so I'm going to pick the Suns as well to win 37 games.
Cool.
Kellan?
I think the Suns will win. Let's just go with Vegas.
38.
Yeah. Let me just say something right now. Get this off my chest because it's kind of bothering me. I had a complete aneurysm, bro. And I got so nervous for absolutely zero reasons. And I don't know like why I said all those stupid things, but like, I just think I have complete faith in my team, bro. And I'm going to be watching every single game. But I have no idea why I had a complete freaking like mental breakdown when you asked me that question.
And as long as I have number 30 on the court, anything is possible for the
Warriors. Yeah, dude.
So.
No, I don't know why I didn't say Kelly Oubre or Eric. I just like tweaked out, bro. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. No, dude, I totally respect you like believing in him 100%. I would feel the same way about the Blazers if they were in the position or whatever. I mean, I do feel the same way about the Blazers. I have them at the 2 seed. Vegas obviously doesn't. You feel me?
Yeah, but I can actually see that though. Like they have depth for days.
Yeah.
Okay, now
time.
Now we can pretty much. Well, I think there is one team that we dubiously have not said their name once, and I think we better address the elephant in the room, Shannon. I think the time has come
to address. Oh, wait a second. You could be talking about one of two teams right now. Are you talking about the Grizzlies or the Pelicans?
The Houston Rockets.
Oh, jeez. I don't even think about them, dude.
Yeah.
No way. That's crazy. I was thinking about completely two different teams who I think are both much better playoff contenders than the Rockets. Yeah, I don't see the Rockets being a part of the equation this season. To me, they're on the same level as Minnesota and Sacramento Kings.
Wow.
I think the Kings could be good. I don't know.
No, I think the Kings will be good, but it's just the West is so stacked. But the Houston Rockets. Obviously, I'm assuming that James Harden isn't going to end up playing there. But even if they do, even if he does, I still I think that maybe Houston would be competitive with like Phoenix. I don't know. Like I don't really see it.
Yeah. I had this team in the playoff conversation sort of competing with the Warriors and the Suns for that 8th seed. Mm-hmm. And then it was really sort of disheartening for me to see James Harden prioritize the birthday party at the strip club over like going to practice. And I don't.
Oh, what? I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. So he's not going to be able to go to the first week of practice because he violated like the team's COVID exposure policy or whatever, like going to the strip club. And
yeah, this is low key like freaking what's his name? Why am I spacing Scottie Pippen vibes when he was like ending his time with the Bulls, where you just kind of see him just like not caring anymore. So I don't. Yeah. I feel like there's no way he keeps playing in Houston.
Or like Kawhi or Anthony Davis or just any of these guys who kind of start getting.
Oh, the AD thing, I forgot about that.
Yeah, once they're done. So, I was hesitant to write off the Rockets as long as I knew James Harden was on the roster, just because we've seen it time and time again how valuable a regular season player he is and just how efficient he is and how efficient he causes like the offense to be. Like he just is kind of a recipe to make the playoffs.
Yeah. Same that Giannis type of player where it's just a regular season nightmare because you're not going to drop a solution every single night in the regular season.
Yeah. But it's just, it concerned me when he didn't go to practice because now I'm starting to get the feel that like, even if he's on the court, it's not going to be the James Harden that like we're used to.
If he starts the season there,
he's not going to be engaged. Honestly, I would doubt if he plays. I still am holding out so much hope that they trade him because I like James Harden and I'd love to see him in a situation where he had the chance not only to like play his hardest, but also to compete. So please call Brooklyn.
But, do you assume that's probably what he wants is to be on a contender?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I think he's been nothing but clear about that. I know he posted like the cap on Instagram or whatever, but let's not, let's call a spade a spade. Like James Harden, he wants out of Houston. And so where does that leave us with the Rockets? I honestly haven't really thought about him much without Harden just because like Shannon said, they're going to be irrelevant without him. But I mean, you've still got John Wall, you've got Eric Gordon, you've got PJ Tucker, you've got Christian Wood.
I thought if you're already naming PJ Tucker and Christian Wood.
Yeah, I actually thought Christian Wood was a good signing for him. But yeah, he's not going to
Oh yeah,
a lot of playoff wins. I picked the Rockets. I picked them to win 31 games, but that was me holding out my last shred of hope that James Harden might actually like participate this year, and that's getting fainter and fainter. So by the next time we record, I'm sure this win total is going to be a little bit lower. And,
yeah.
By the way, this like Vegas projection was done by a different sports book than the rest of them. Only one sports book in the world has actually put a number on the Rockets win total this year.
Oh, really?
Just because there's such a high range of outcomes for this team with the James Harden situation still in flux. So like 31-41, that is probably, I mean, I just don't know, because I was going to say that's a high-end outcome, but if James Harden is the guy like we've seen him be in years past, like 37, 38, 39 wins, that's a high-end outcome. And then the low-end outcome is just depressing. Like the low end, if James Harden gets traded and John Wall doesn't come back healthy, like this team is going to be one of the worst in the NBA. So
yeah.
Where did you land on in terms of wins, Shannon?
So should I make my guess in the assumption that James Harden suits up in a Rockets uniform or not?
I don't know. On mine, I kind of just split the difference, which is a way to do it. But
okay, I'm gonna say that I'm making this based on him not being there, and I'm gonna give them 21 wins.
21. Okay, yeah, that sounds about right. If he is just not there at all.
Yeah.
Kellan?
I'll go 29.
Yeah. Okay.
How much does the Nets go up if they get Harden?
Oh, I had them at 47. If they get Harden, that's easily in the 50s, low 50s, probably.
Yeah. If they get Harden, I think they're going to be my regular season champs in the East because, like I just said, like James Harden is kind of the same thing as Giannis in the regular season, where it's just like you're not going to stop him.
Yeah. And of the people like that I listen to and read in terms of NBA content, like me and Shannon are pretty high on the Nets. I think we both like where the team's at, even without Harden. And then with Harden, that's just going to be one of the craziest offensive teams we've ever seen in terms of just pure talent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now we're pretty much completely out of the playoff picture in the Western Conference. Should we just take them like alphabetically now? Or
wait, really? You don't think the Pelicans can make it?
True. Yeah, that's fair. And there are a few teams, especially now that they're doing that whole play-in tournament thing where the 9 and 10 seed get a chance to play their way into the tournament. Like
really,
there are quite a few teams actually who could theoretically make the playoffs. But I think you've now done 9 of these teams, and so
it's so crazy that we're like the Spurs are just out of the question, man. It's so weird. They've always been so good.
Yeah, and I actually like the Spurs. I mean, I see them as a contender for the play-in tournament. But yeah, we're kind of going through the teams right now who are on the outside looking in and would have to like surprise some people to make a run at it. But Kellan, do you want to lead us off with the Pels?
Oh, sure. Let's go. So how does the 9 and 10 thing work? Is it just a one game like wild card kind of thing?
Yeah, sure. So once the season's over, the 7 and 8 seed will play each other, and the 9 and 10 seed will play each other. The winner of the 7 and 8 game will be the 7 seed. The loser of the 9 and 10 game will be eliminated, and the loser of the 7-8 seed will play the winner of the 9-10 seed for the 8 seed.
Oh, dude.
That's a lot just to get in.
Sucks to be the 8 seed, dude. Jeez.
Yeah.
Dude, that's honestly like, damn, dude. It doesn't even matter if you're 7, 8, 9, 10, dude.
Yeah, I thought what it should be is that the 7 seed has to play the 10 seed, and the 10 seed has to win 2 times. And the 8 seed has to play the 9 seed, and the 9 seed has to play 2 times. Basically, just what they had this year with the Blazers and the Grizzlies, where the Grizzlies would have like theoretically had to beat the Blazers twice, even though it didn't end up coming to that.
Does it take into account like tiebreakers and stuff, or is it just straight up it is what it is?
What do you mean?
Like say like that team beat the team that they'd be playing in the.
Well, yeah. So the regular season standings are going to be determined in the same way they always have been. It's just that now at the end of the regular season, there are going to be some like bonus games to determine who are the last 2 teams in the playoffs. So like the tiebreakers and stuff would just work how they've always worked to just determine the standings at the end of the regular season.
All
Does that answer your question at all?
Yeah. So Pelicans, they've got Zion, Lonzo,
Yeah.
Ingram, and don't they? Who didn't? Wait, that trade never. Wait. Then
Steven
who's playing?
Adams.
Who? Yeah. Okay,
Steven
Steven Adams, and then who's the other? Did they get who? What other guys did they get?
So from the Bucks, they got Eric Bledsoe.
Okay, yeah, I was just about to say they get Eric Bledsoe. I just didn't want to sound stupid.
Yeah, they got George Hill, and George Hill was out the door pretty quick.
It was Bledsoe for like Drew, right?
Yeah, and then a boatload of picks.
Yeah. Okay. I think that the Pelicans, I think they can go 500.
Okay. Nice.
I mean, I think they've. Yeah, I'm really excited to watch Zion. I think he's gonna be fun if he can stay on the court. Pick. Dude, I feel so stupid. Like I literally feel so stupid. Like I don't know why I had a complete aneurysm, bro.
It wasn't that bad.
No, I was like, what the fuck? I just can't. I just really cannot wait. Maybe by March, do you think when the Blazers come to or the Warriors come to Portland, do you think do you think they'll have fans by then, or do you think they'll kind of just stick with protocol throughout the entire season?
Yeah, I bet, especially the Blazers. Like Portland's a pretty like
COVID facts. I didn't even think about that. There would be riots or something outside Moda.
Yeah,
I mean, if there weren't already, but yeah, I think by the 2021-22 season, hopefully.
Yeah, because
something going.
Because the vaccine should be rolling out like at the beginning of this year, so hopefully by then.
Yeah, and we're talking about like October.
I hope so, dude. Come on.
I will be driving down from Eugene and picking you guys up on a weekly basis.
Yes, sir.
But yeah. So the Pelicans had an offseason that I happened to actually be neutral on because I loved the Drew Holiday trade. They got so many assets from the Bucks. Were having one of the most desperate summers in NBA history. It was like Cleveland in 2009, 2010, possibly Golden State in 2021-22. Like the Bucks were just at all costs, we need to win with Giannis, and that cost is going to end up being pretty high. And the New Orleans Pelicans cashed in on that, so that's a big deal, and that's awesome. But they made some more decisions that I just didn't understand, like trading for Steven Adams and then extending him was very interesting to me because Zion is a very unique player because he has the skill set of a center on offense. Like he's an elite rim runner. He pretty much has to be the roll man in the pick and roll. But on defense, he can't do any center things. He can't protect the rim. He doesn't get back on defense to clog the paint and fill the paint that way. Like he fouls quite a bit. He was just awful defensively as a rookie, and that will get better. But I think even when he does start to get better, he's still far from a center. And so you kind of are forced to surround him with a guy who can A, protect the rim, but B, kind of be on the perimeter and making shots on offense. So you make room for Zion as a roll man. So a guy in that mold, think of like a Kristaps Porzingis, a Miles Turner, who I actually think they probably could have gotten if they had wanted to. Christian Wood, who they happened to cut last year to make room for Joel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. So
that's funny.
And so instead of bringing a guy in that mold, they just brought in a big beefcake and Steven Adams and put him next to Zion. Like that's never going to work, you know? Like,
do you think maybe they just like want to like try to bully teams? Like maybe they're thinking like Eric Bledsoe is going to be like a bully point guard and like you're going to have obviously Zion and Steven Adams. But I mean, Brandon Ingram doesn't make that much sense in that. You know what I mean? Or Lonzo.
Yeah. And I think, especially Brandon Ingram. And what they had to have been thinking was just like, they were bad, like their rebounding sucked last year and their rim protection with Zion on the floor was just atrocious. And Steven Adams, although he's regressing pretty hard, he's getting like his like physicality and stuff is still there and he's good at boxing out. But the little athleticism he had is just like he can't jump over a phone book at this point. And so like it just made no sense to me. Both trading from that made no sense to me. And extending him just was that absolute icing on the cake. Like that was just terrible for me. But in terms of like how they look, as a team, no. Like, I do think they still have some good pieces, like Lonzo and Zion in transition. That's going to be a big deal if Zion's in shape, which is a big if, and if he can stay healthy. I don't know. There are a lot of questions I have about this team. I think Brandon Ingram he's a solid offensive half court. Like, I think it's going to be a lot of Lonzo in the full court in transition, getting outlet passes from Steven Adams and running the court with Zion, trying to get low hanging fruit that way. And then in the half court, I think it's going to be more of the Brandon Ingram show. And
for sure.
And I think it's going to be a lot of what we saw last year, like Brandon Ingram dribbling it for 14 seconds and then making a SOS pass to Zion and hoping Zion can bail him out. And so I just have a hard time seeing this team getting to a top 15 offense. And I just think Zion is such a train wreck on defense. I don't see this team being very good. And I think there is a high-end outcome that exists because obviously we all saw how good they were when Zion came in and played for the first time in the regular season prior to the bubble, where they were awesome and they had a very good record, albeit against an easy schedule, but they were just playing very good basketball, and that obviously evaporated in the postseason. But I mean, here, let me end this on a high note. I think the high-end outcome of this team is pretty good, though, because you've got Lonzo, great passer, Zion, maybe one of the best rollmen in the NBA. Surround them with spacing like Brandon Ingram, JJ Redick. You've got some elite shooters on the floor who defenders can't leave. So I think there's a world where this offense is pretty good. But defensively, I just have a hard time seeing the high-end outcome with Zion at center and with Zion at power forward. So,
yeah,
33 and 39 for me.
I love to hear the hints of Zion hate in there because I am personally not a believer in Zion. I don't think that he actually makes sense on a winning basketball team, and I think that he's going to have a very short career, but as far as an impactful career. And I had the same number in mind at 33 wins, actually.
Okay, cool. Before we move on, I just thought of something I wanted to talk about it before about the Pelicans. How bad is their front office at evaluating centers? In 2019, they draft Jackson Hayes. I think it was 6 or 7 overall. We're about a year and a half later, they traded for and paid $35 million to a guy who's going to replace him, Steven Adams. In 2019, they cut Christian Wood. And you think Christian Wood, you think they would have liked to have him this year? They cut him so they could have Jahlil Okafor.
I think Jackson Hayes is better for them than Steven Adams.
Yeah, and then this year they traded for Steven Adams, a guy who, even I can see it. Even I can see he makes no sense with Zion, and that's just never going to work. Yeah. I don't work for an NBA team. I'm not in any sort of front office position. And even I just that's never going to work. And they devoted so many resources to having him when he's already shown signs of early regression in Oklahoma City. So it's just a complete train wreck. I don't know who the scouts are on this team, but this is just turning into a comedy of errors at this point. And
Nerlens didn't work out either.
Yeah, in terms of New Orleans Pelicans center position, it's just not great. So yeah. What team next?
At least isn't Zion a lot better? I mean, isn't Lonzo a lot better when Zion's on the court?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Any point guard would be better with Zion on the court just because of how dynamic he is as a rim runner and in transition. So especially a guy who likes to get up and down the court like Lonzo does. Zion is the perfect complement to him.
Let's talk about the Grizzlies.
Okay, yeah. And let's just lead this off with the very disheartening news that Jaren Jackson will not be ready in time for the regular season. He's still dealing with those lower body injuries. And so who knows when he'll be coming back. Justice Winslow apparently hasn't even started practice. He's still dealing with the hip injury. So just some concerning news from Memphis.
Yeah, definitely. Dude, remember when they had when we played them in the playoffs and they were Zach Randolph, Gasol, Conley, and Courtney Lee, and they had that bully ball. I hated that, dude.
Yeah.
I hated them so much.
Shannon, do you remember Steph Curry's freaking heave before the?
Yeah. That was so crazy.
Legendary.
Dude. So crazy. I also remember Steven Adams' heave though.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Didn't he throw it overhand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was sick. Okay, the Grizzlies. Yeah, I hated them last year too. I remember we talked about on the podcast before that image of Anthony Tolliver dancing when they were up by like 11 points against the Blazers in the first game of the bubble, and they ended up losing the game because Ja Morant doesn't know how to handle a basketball in the open court, apparently, even though that's supposed to be what he's the best at. But yeah, I think I don't think Ja Morant is going to get a whole lot better than we saw last season, honestly. And obviously, it's sad to see the injuries, but they need those guys if they want to compete for a playoff spot. It's just really not there. Brandon Clark, is he still with them?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he's a good player. I think he's got potential, but they need Jaren Jackson for sure if they want to be in that conversation. I think that they're going to be taking a step back this season from what they were last season.
Yeah.
I have nothing to say about the Grizzlies, dude.
Okay, so yeah, I think Shannon hit the nail pretty much right on the head. Like, this team's going to miss Jaren Jackson so much. The elite shooting he provided at the power forward position mixed with a very, very high volume of shots. Like, Jaren Jackson was shooting a lot of three-pointers last year and making a ton of them, which just opened up the offense so much. Obviously, Ja Morant's not a guy who likes to shoot the basketball, so that having Jaren as a weapon on the floor opened up so much of the interior to him. Once Jaren left or was injured, the offense really just was never the same. They just struggled to find sort of that recipe. They started Anthony Tolliver at the power forward, like Shannon was saying, just as a cry for help, trying to get.
And we know that doesn't work as Blazer fans.
Yeah, just trying to get just a little bit more shooting on the floor. And obviously it was to no avail. And so
everyone thinks he's a shooter. He's not, dude.
I mean, yeah, he was at one point, and then
I don't believe it. I refuse to believe it. He's not a shooter.
Yeah, and so they still have some interesting pieces. Like, they still have some good depth in the front court. They brought back DeAnthony Melton on what I thought was a very reasonable 4-year, $35 million deal. So great work by them there. I thought they had a very good draft. They brought in Xavier Tillman. They got Kellan Tilly undrafted. Desmond Bane as a guy who's going to help them out immediately. Probably the best resume in terms of shooters in the draft. He was like a 4-year college kid and was consistently over 40% over his career on just an insanely high volume. But there are questions about his defense, given that he has like tiny little dinosaur arms. Like, he's one of the very few NBA players with a negative wingspan. So I think that'll be something that holds him back.
Negative wingspan. I definitely have a negative wingspan. My arms are short, dude.
Yeah, but yeah. So anyway, I agree with Shannon. I think this team's probably going to be taking a step back, even though Ja Morant is I think he's going to be a very solid point guard, but I just don't think they have the right recipe around him this year. I think if Jaren Jackson comes back sooner than later, this team could be a contender for the playing games for sure. And if Jaren Jackson misses substantial amounts of time, it's just going to be very, very for this team.
I really do hope he can come back and play, because I liked him when he was balling out. But
Jonah Willard.
Yeah.
So why did you pick the Bills to win tomorrow?
Against the 49ers?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Just a hunch.
I just looked back because I was like gonna screenshot. I can't believe you. You dirty dog. You're going with Josh Allen? I can't.
I just love Josh Allen so much is all. So, Shannon, what about you?
I can't believe you.
Where do you have this team?
Huh?
Where do you have the Memphis Grizzlies?
I think Vegas is on par. I'm going with 29 wins. But just a little more what you said about Ja Morant. I said that I think he kind of is like nearing his peak with this first season, but still a very, very good point guard. I think you put him in the East last season. I think he's definitely in the All-Star conversation. But
yeah, that's it. I think that's 100% true. He was, if I remember correctly, he was getting some like borderline All-Star mentions in the West. So
yeah, he was, which is very impressive. But definitely not by any means a bad point guard at all. I just I don't really envision him adding a shot to his game, and until he does that, I don't think he can improve a whole lot more than what he already is.
And I like what you said too, just like the pieces in place around him in Memphis, even if he is sort of improving internally, it's going to be hard for like us here to like see that as like an external result, just because I don't really think this Memphis team is suited to maximize his strength. Because
For sure.
like as somebody who gets so much penetration inside and has a point guard who's like so explosive and getting to the hoop, it kind of helps to have those movable outside pieces where like you have guys coming off of screens or guys who move a lot without the ball. Whereas like the best shooters on this team, who like even Dylan Brooks, he's not a great shooter, but he's probably the best shooter on this team. He's a pretty stationary guy. Like Grayson Allen might only fit the mold, might only be the only guy who fits the mold in terms of like shooters. I'm looking at, we'll see what Desmond Bain can do. I actually think he'll have a chance to contribute right away. But yeah, I just think John Morant's not going to look too much better this year just because of the team in place.
Yeah, for sure.
Kellan, what about you?
Ooh, I mean, let's go 30.
30. Yeah, I think that's a good pick.
I like Jaw. Jaw's so much fun to watch. Whenever they're on ESPN or like primetime TV, always tuning in for that.
Always tune in, yes, sir.
I'm serious. Like whenever the Grizzlies played on like ESPN or the Pelicans, I would tune in. Because I just wanted to see like Zion and Ja.
Yeah, I need to watch more of Zion actually, to be honest. I hate on him without watching him a lot.
I mean, just that one game, I forget what the exact date of it was, but the one where he dominated the Blazers. And the one I think he might have played 2 games against the Blazers, but the first one he tore us apart. So I mean,
wait, Zion or
Zion.
Okay, yeah.
Like if you want to start getting impressed by Zion, like he was pretty solid against us. He was being guarded by Carmelo Anthony for much of that game. And
that's right. But Carmelo Anthony had that little highlight against him. He gave him the old school.
Yeah. That was good. I forgot about that play, but
Zion,
that was
awesome. I forget what game it was. I watched it and he missed like three putbacks and rebounded all of them and then finally got it to go down and then he got an and one or something.
I mean, the second jump is kind of his claim to fame. So those are definitely what he excels at. What team do you guys want to hit next?
We can just go T-Wolves. I'm actually not really sure how I feel about the T-Wolves.
Yeah, me too. So
D-Lo. Deloading.
I'm not wait, they drafted Anthony Edwards, right?
Correct.
I don't really think he's going to work out in the NBA after I kind of had high hopes for him based on what people were describing him as and like some of the stuff I saw, but just his attitude just seems terrible. And the Timberwolves are not the type of place that's going to change that. You know what I mean? And also absolutely heartbreaking. I don't know if you guys have heard about Cat losing 7 family members to COVID, including his mom. And apparently he's not at all in like a good headspace. And so I'm not going to make any predictions, but I'm not sure how that's going to translate.
Where's his family from?
I'm not sure. I think they probably live in Minnesota. Yeah. 7 family members died, but so I'm not sure he's going to be ready to play basketball at the beginning of the season or if we'll see.
Ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy
That's what I was
moly.
going to say. If we'll see him suit up again or not, but.
Wow.
Yeah.
His mom too, dude.
Yeah, that his mom I think was like
that was a while ago, right?
The restart was, yeah.
Jesus, that's insanity. Oh my god.
So yeah, that in combination with the Edwards attitude issues, I don't see them stepping forwards at all this season.
And D'Lo's amazing shot selection.
Yeah.
Do you want to put a win total on that, Shannon?
I'm probably gonna go with
teens.
Yeah, I'm thinking 19.
Wow, that.
I mean, is
that generous?
No, that's probably about as bold as you've gotten on this prediction so far.
He picked 19. You picked 19 for the Cavs, right?
Me?
I think Shannon picked 19 for the Cavs or something.
Yeah, I might have.
I picked 12 for the Cavs.
If Karl Anthony Towns is able to somehow just I don't know how you even move past that in your life, like losing 7 family members. But if he's able to return to an all-star player, they're going to win more than 19 games, 100%. But I just have a hard time seeing that happen.
So I hadn't even really been thinking about like what you were saying with the family members like that hadn't even crossed my radar, but that is concerning. Where I was concerned with is the performance of this team, even if Karl Anthony Towns is performing at an all-star level. And I kind of want to explain why. And it's something that's been a detriment in the past. And I think it's going to be even more so this year. So the Timberwolves this offseason and going back to the trade deadline when they acquired Russell have put a lot of eggs in the perimeter creation basket, which is what bad teams with no nucleus should do. And I actually believe that the Wolves have a fairly solid nucleus in Karl Anthony Towns, who I think is a really good player. I actually am probably higher on Karl Anthony Towns than the median of NBA viewers. But anyway, so they brought in D'Angelo Russell at the trade deadline. They drafted Anthony Edwards, who has the ball a lot. They traded for Malik Beasley, who's not a guy who's a huge perimeter creator, although he does have that as a secondary skill to lean back on. But he's also a black hole. Like, he shoots the ball a lot. Like, he's going to immediately be wanting like probably 15 shots a game. Anthony Edwards is going to be wanting 15 to 20 shots a game. D'Lo is going to be wanting about 20 shots a game. And Ricky Rubio, another guy who they brought in, which I'm going to hit on that later because that was just mind-boggling to me. But I just have a hard time seeing their best player touching the ball very often, which is a huge concern for me because Karl Anthony Towns is by far their best player.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, not saying that this is a Timberwolves plan, but what's going to be the end reality is that Karl Anthony Towns is going to be like third in the pecking order on offense, and he's going to be the third to eat just because Anthony Edwards and D'Angelo Russell and the guys bringing the ball up the court are going to be looking to score for themselves first. And so it just is like extremely concerning to me, just like even if Karl Anthony Towns, like I hadn't even thought about him like not being ready for the season, but even if he is ready and even if he is playing like he was last year, which was very good, especially in the first month of the season, even if he's at that level, it's just, I don't know how he fits on this team, which is like,
LaMelo Ball makes so much more sense for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is what I was about to hit on. And I've said this on the podcast before. Why is D'Angelo Russell so good that you're going to pass on LaMelo Ball just to fit around D'Angelo Russell? Like, he doesn't have that much doubt. It's like, he's such a sacred cow that they couldn't pick the best player in the draft and they had to settle for Anthony Edwards. And then they traded for a point guard who was making $18 million a year in Ricky Rubio. So like, D'Angelo Russell is so good that you can't draft LaMelo Ball, but then you're just going to trade for Ricky Rubio.
Yeah.
It just makes no sense to me, but I mean, yeah. So yeah, in the end, I think this team does have a lot of talent, specifically on the offensive end. I'm actually going to pick them to win 30 games, which I think that's a little bit on the high side, to be honest, as we're talking about it. But I don't know. There are a lot of teams in the Western Conference who I think I'm giving too many wins to. Like, I felt that way about the Timberwolves and the Rockets and the Warriors to an extent. And so, there aren't many teams who I think I'm giving too little wins to. So
yeah, that was a part of it for me, is like looking at like all the teams in the top, how many wins they have them getting is like, I just don't see a lot of wins left for the Timberwolves.
For the Warriors?
Yeah, for either. No, but yeah, and I just think like you have to remember, like, NBA players are human, and like losing 7 family members is going to do a lot to a person. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that if Cat and D'Lo get it rolling, and if Edwards is like surprises people, I think that they could surprise people and get like maybe 37. But considering everything that's happened, I'm gonna have to go probably with like 27.
27. Yeah, that's a good pick.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like Jonah said, there definitely is a lot of talent there. It's just,
if Anthony Edwards pans out and decides to just show up, like despite having pretty piss poor attitude, like I can't even imagine getting drafted number 1, bro, Or
and
like
then
being
saying like I
projected
don't
to,
even
and then
like
saying
basketball.
like, and then saying like, if I could play football, like I would. Like, who even says that? Like, what are you doing, dude? You just got a bag, and I don't know. So
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, his highlights though, he single-handedly, I forget who they were playing, Michigan State or something. I think I mentioned that before, and he knocking down 3 balls, driving. I mean, he's kind of a force, but
yeah, we'll see.
All right. So, along with Houston, Oklahoma City is one of the teams where I actually have to remind myself who actually is on their team.
Yeah, I was just about to say I don't think besides Steven Adams, but he's gone.
Yeah, it's just been such an overhaul. Obviously, the core is Shea Gilgeous, Alexander. There are other 2 young guys who theoretically they would be considering future pieces, Lugens Dort and Darius Baisley. And they have a good group of veterans who presumably they'll be looking to trade. George Hill, I actually like him a lot. Think he makes sense for quite a few teams. Trevor Ariza and Al Horford. And then they've just got behind them, they've got Ty Jerome, Hamidou Diallo, Frank Jackson, Justin Jackson, TJ Leaf, Admiral Schofield, Kendrick Williams, Mike Muscala. Just not a whole lot to be excited about.
Yeah.
In terms of rookies, they've got Alexei Pokusevsky, who they took. Was it? No, it must have been like it was 17 overall was when they took Pokusevsky.
Dude, they didn't get help really with their draft picks.
Well, I mean,
that was their highest pick, or what?
Well, yeah, but this is just that was the tip of the iceberg. Like they've got, I think, like 18 or 20 picks before 2016, so they're just getting started with the whole draft game. But yeah, we'll see what Alexei Pokusevsky turns out to be. But
did you like him?
I didn't really watch very much of him, partly because he played in the Greek third league, which happens to be the same league Giannis came out of, but the quality of competition is worse than Shannon's City League teams. So,
dude, put me in that league, baby.
Yeah, I mean, you'd probably have a chance to put up some numbers in that league. So yeah, it's just not. I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on Alexei Pokusevsky. I think he's kind of a high risk, high reward guy. Just because 7-footers who have like shooting skills and ball handling skills, like if those players pan out, it just is such a crazy like unicorn kind of player where it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity. But he's playing an extremely low level of competition, and he's 7'1", 190. So there's just
yeah, he's
so like in all likelihood, like he's never going to be able to work out in the NBA. So I just thought like for a team that has as many high draft, or for a team that has the draft capital that OKC has, you might as well take those big swings on guys who have a lot of upside. But I personally and ask this to any NBA scout and I'll give you the same answer, that like the majority, if you played his career 100 times, like he probably is out of the league in 5 years in like 75% of those scenarios. So that's kind of where I land on Alexei Pokusevsky.
Congrats on 400 followers. Side note.
Yeah, Bianca made that post. She's like, I have to do something. I'm like, okay.
Dude, yeah, that's dope, dude. That's dope.
Okay, so
thank you.
I actually, a lot of people are saying this OKC team is just going to suck and it's going to be the worst team in the NBA. And I don't think that's true. I actually
got Lou the Tank on your side, bro.
Yeah, and I actually think if you run this play 50 times a game, you can be okay. And that is the Shea Gilgeous Alexander, Al Horford pick and roll. Like I actually think that has a chance to be pretty effective. And then you surround that with like Trevor Ariza, George Hill, just kind of some veterans who know like how to win and are actually like solid role players. I just don't, I mean, those guys are going to be traded. I just don't think this team is like, I don't think it's that bad, to be honest, which a lot of people seem to. I do think if the Thunder start playing too good, some of those guys will either be out the door or sitting on the bench. Like Sam Presti has not been shy about what his intentions are. So I think that puts a definite cap on the amount of games this team will win. It won't be a situation like last year where everybody thinks the Thunder are going to suck and everybody thinks they're going to be trading away their good players. And then they end up hanging on to Chris Paul and Gallo and making the playoffs. Like this year is not going to be like last year was for the Thunder. This is going to be a legitimate tank year. But I think they actually have some solid pieces that are going to prevent them from being among the worst teams in the NBA. So I've got them at 25 wins. I think they're going to go 25-47. I think Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is going to have a big year. going to surprise some people, maybe even going to find his way. I don't think he'll be in like my top 3 for most improved player, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if he ends up in that conversation.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. I do think Shai's going to have a big year. And I didn't even think about the Horford pick and roll. And again, we don't know what's going to happen. I think players are going to be moving around a lot, obviously. We know that. I was going to put him at 24 wins.
24. Yeah, that sounds good. And I actually think of all the players that they could move, of all the veterans and stuff like that, Al Horford might be the least likely just because of the contract he's on. He might not be like as appealing to continuing teams as like a Trevor Ariza or George Hill would be. I saw this trade on Twitter, and I think it makes a ton of sense. George Hill to the Clippers.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because he would solve a lot of their perimeter problems.
Damn,
like they
and him and Paul have chemistry.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, they really struggled when Patrick Beverley was on the bench, and so I think bringing in a guy like George Hill would help with that. And I mean, Kawhi Leonard said it himself, like the Clippers need a better point guard who can actually play a little bit with the ball in his hands. And for all that Patrick Beverley's good at, he's mostly just a spot-up shooter on offense. So George Hill could just kind of fill that role for him. And then they would give the Thunder Lou Williams, who actually could be traded again, because Lou Williams, I'm sure, or it could be a 3-team trade as well. Like Lou Williams, there are teams who would want him. And then the Thunder could take on, I don't think the salary would work if they took on Terrence Mann, but maybe Mfiondu Kabengele. And if Terrence Mann was that important to the Thunder, they could take him as well. But I think it would have to be Kabengele if we're talking about young players. But yeah, just an interesting sort of destination for George Hill. I probably shouldn't spend so much time on stuff that's complete speculation, but I just thought that. How old is George Hill?
Yeah, is he?
I have no idea. I would guess in his early 30s.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think he has a lot left in the tank. I mean, he had one of his best seasons to date last year on the Bucks, so I think he's still a very good player.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go with Vegas on this one. I don't really know.
25 wins.
Sure.
Okay.
Bro, we should talk about. Is the Spurs and the Kings the last ones left?
Yep.
I believe so. Yeah.
I freaking love watching the highlights of videos of oh my god.
De'Aaron Fox.
No.
Buddy Hield.
Why am I spacing on him? Popovich.
Oh,
he's so funny.
He is funny, yeah.
He's hilarious, dude. ESPN did like a whole highlight thing on like him just messing with guys. It's so funny.
Yeah, so I guess, why don't we start off?
Yeah, we should talk about the Spurs. Who's on the Spurs?
Yeah, so I actually think this is a pretty interesting team. The backcourt, Derek White and DeJounte Murray, who...
Oh, yeah, DeJounte.
I actually think both of those guys have a chance to be improved this year. They've also got Patty Mills coming off the bench and Lonnie Walker. I think Patty Mills is a prime contender to be moved. At forwards, they've got DeMar DeRozan, Rudy Gay, LaMarcus Aldridge, Keldon Johnson, who I think is promising. He had a rookie season last year, and he didn't play much, but in the bubble, he actually got some run, and he impressed me on defense when he was in the game. And Lucas Samanic, who I really haven't formed an opinion on, spent the entire year in the G League with the Austin Spurs, and from what I've heard about him, he kind of struggled down there quite a bit, turned the ball over a lot, played a lot with the ball in his hands, which will not be his role once he's with the 18. Lucas Samanic.
Was that like a draft and stash?
No, no, not really. He was their draft pick in 2019, but he played the year with the G League team just because as long as Greg Popovich is with the Spurs, they're not going to be rebuilding. They're going to be playing the best players on the roster and trying to win as many games as possible. And then at center is when it really starts to get spicy. You've got Jakob Poeltl, and then you've got Drew Eubanks.
Sir.
Drewby.
Yeah, so pretty loaded center rotation there. Actually, in all seriousness, I like those two guys a lot, Drew Eubanks and Jakob Poeltl. I think they're both very
Pac-12
solid.
boys.
Yeah, true. Jakob Poeltl at Utah. That's a good point. So, yeah, I guess my opinion on this team, I like him quite a bit, especially if DeJounte Murray takes the next step to where he can actually be on the court on offense. we saw it in the bubble. Derek White's scheme has evolved quite a bit. Greg Popovich seems to have a rule where unless you're a 40% three-point shooter, or at least like a high 30s on high volume kind of guy, you're not shooting three-pointers at all. And that was Derek White during the regular season. He just was pretty much strictly driving to the basket, playing in pick and roll, or being like an off-ball attacking closeouts and maybe shoot 1 or 2 threes in the game. In the bubble, he was shooting 7 or 8 threes a game, coming off of movement. And he was coming off of screens, like taking a pretty high level shots. And he was hitting them with consistency, which makes me very excited to see Derek this year. And I talked about it with Shea, but I think Derek is actually a guy who will be even higher in my most improved player rankings. I think with increased responsibility, and I actually do think he's getting quite a bit better. I think he'll have a breakout year. I would love to see them move on from one of DeRozan or Aldridge. I just think those two guys cramp up the spacing so much. Like, sure, LaMarcus started to shoot threes, but if you're going to play him as a power forward, like the low amount of threes he was shooting, like that's still not enough if you're going to have like a Pirtle or a Eubanks on the floor. So I just think the offensive theory of the young guys meshed with the old guard of DeRozan and Aldridge just doesn't make too much sense on this team. But I do like some of the young pieces they have going forward. And I do think they'll be solid this year. I actually happen to like them a little bit better than like the Pelicans and the Grizzlies. I think they're
Me too.
Kind of the best of the rest. I actually have them at 35 wins. I'm pretty high.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
cool. Yeah. I just think it's pretty hard to doubt a team coached by the staff that the Spurs are coached by and how proven the coaching staff is. But and I agree with you. I think Derek White is going to take a step forward. I actually like him a lot. And even if they don't end up moving LaMarcus or DeRozan, they're still 2 solid players, enough to get regular season wins, especially under the staff, like I said. So I'm not quite as high as Jonah, but I do think they're definitely like the best of the bad teams, if you will. But I was going to put them at 33 wins.
Yeah. Kellan?
I think they could go 500.
Okay, nice. Like they could go 500, or that's your prediction for them?
I think they can win 36.
Nice.
Jonah, can you please explain to me what we were talking about last time? So if you're at 38 and 36, you're only a game over 500?
Yeah. Because if you lost one game, it would be a 1-game decrease in the win column, which would bring you down to 37, and a 1-game increase in the loss column, which would bring you up to 37. So 1 game could change your record to 500, you know?
Okay. The first time you said that, it blew my mind. Okay. Because, like, the way I think about it is if you're at 37 and 36, that's like a game above 500. But I get it's not.
Yeah, that would be half a game above 500.
Got it. Yes, sir. Okay, I understand now.
Yeah.
Now for the Sacramento Kings. I think the Warriors open up their season against them. Or no, they open up a season against the Jazz.
Just to be really off topic for 1 second. It's kind of crazy, like how much, like even dating back to like elementary school, like sports have helped me in school, like math and like in college, like pretty much I've just been able to breathe through like all my economics classes, just like based off what I know about the NBA and how like contracts and stuff work.
That's lit. Yeah, I don't know enough about the NBA for that to help me.
But like
really,
but like Chan, back when I was in like elementary school, like I nailed my times tables just because I could like add up 2-pointers and 3-pointers and like.
Oh really? That's lit.
So, like sports, if you're into sports, it does have some practical applications.
Oh yeah, like I probably everybody can say this, but like sevens was my best.
Yeah, because just adding up touchdowns.
Yeah, 7 was the best.
Yeah, especially as an Oregon Duck fan growing up, you probably knew it all the way up to like 63 or 70.
Exactly. Yeah. Like when we played Colorado or something, or like Utah State, they would score like 73 points, bro. 72. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. All right. So last team, you guys, the Sacramento Kings.
Okay. I love De'Aaron Fox. So Buddy Hield never left? Isn't there a beef there with the coach?
Well, now that it's funny that you should say that, because now that he's staying, it turns out he never wanted a trade all along. So it turns out that entire thing was just misinformation. And he only cared to point that out after it was already evident that he was not going anywhere. So it's all good on the Buddy Hield front.
Perfect. Yeah,
in all seriousness, Buddy does not want to be there. For
sure. Yeah. They still have Harrison Barnes.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't feel like there's a whole lot to talk about. I feel like they're a long ways away from being a playoff team.
De'Aaron's a very rich man now.
Yes, he is. Yep. And I think he can definitely be part of a very winning team, but I don't think it's this one.
I was glad they locked him down, and I liked how they were able to get all 5 years without a player option, which was something Boston and Utah failed to do. And I think, Bam didn't get a player option. Bam got the elevator language, but he didn't get a player option, so that's different. But I liked how they locked him down to 5 years without a player option. He's going to be a king for the foreseeable future. And the Kings are a team who I've actually gotten to think about a lot recently because I play my sister in NBA 2K, and with her favorite player being Hassan Whiteside, she's been anxious to get in some runs with the Sacramento Kings. So I've kind of been learning the strengths and weaknesses of their roster. And
do you have 2K21?
Yeah.
Is that the only game you play?
Yeah, but I don't have a new console or anything, so I play 2K21 on a Xbox One. So I don't know. I'll probably have to get it next year.
I just play on PS4. I'm probably not going to get PS5 till next year too.
Yeah.
I don't really
I'll
care.
probably get it like next summer or whatever, but I don't know. I haven't really thought that far ahead. But anyway, in terms of segueing back to real basketball, I think the Kings I really was looking forward to seeing them going back to running the basketball, getting up and down the court fast, just throwing it down teams' throats. Because in 2018, 2019, they surprised a lot of people and were the 9th seed in the Western Conference. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that was because Fox and Hield ran the floor fast and got low-hanging fruit and got easy shots, and teams weren't prepared to deal with that on a night-in, night-out basis. And Shannon, can you help me out here? Do you remember what the name of that coach was? It was Igor.
No, I don't.
It was Igor. Here, I'll look it up. But anyway, they brought in Luke Walton, and he completely changed the way this team operated. They were a much half-court heavy team, which doesn't suit De'Aaron Fox's style at all. Because I do think he can play make, and his speed and his quickness do help him out. But to maximize his skill set, you've got to be running in transition. And I was encouraged when they brought in Tyrese Halliburton, because Tyrese is another guy who is most comfortable passing and running in full court, and he's a spacer, which helps around Fox. Because even though Fox is a capable shooter, he's not a high volume guy, and he is a guy who would much rather probe and get into the paint. So it helps to have those gravitational forces around him to kind of keep the defense from collapsing on him when he gets inside. And then, so that all was good. I loved the Tyrese Halliburton pick. That was one of the steals of the draft, in my opinion. The part I wasn't so sure with was how they took so long to use their money. Well, they didn't really use their money. They signed some guys to a minimum contract, but I liked the value of it. They got some good deals. They went bargain bin hunting, and they found some guys like Hassan Whiteside, like Glenn Robinson, like Frank Kaminsky, who are Frank Kaminsky aside, the other two are probably better than minimum deals, and they got them on minimum contracts. So good work there. I just don't think they fit very well with this team. When they had Willie Cauley-Stein, it was awesome because Willie Cauley-Stein could run the floor with Fox, with Hield, and having that center, that rim runner.
Yeah, that team was so electric. That was so fun.
Yeah, it was so electric, like Shannon was saying. Hassan Whiteside just doesn't really run the court like that anymore. And so I think this team is counting on Marvin Bagley to stay healthy. And I just think that's a big if. I think Rashawn Holmes is slightly better than Hassan, and he would fit with this team. To be sure, I'm a big Hassan fan. I just don't love his fit on this team with De'Aaron Fox.
Definitely.
So
Son would have been better on the Lakers, honestly. That would have been a good fit to me.
Yeah, or the Charlotte Hornets was one I was hoping he would end up with. I'm going to pick the Kings to go 32-40.
Okay.
Bro, Jonah.
Yeah.
Our boy Justin had a tough day today.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, they lost 45-0 against the Pats.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And my predictions really fell off this week, I feel like.
No, yeah, mine did too. But I'm doing like that Fox Super 6 thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I did okay today because I picked like the Giants winning, and I feel like not a lot of people have picked that.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. The Seahawks. That's the highlight of my day. Whenever they lose, it's always a good day. But I'm going to go with, I think they'll win 30 games.
30? Okay, that's a good pick.
I'm actually going to roll with Vegas at 29.
Nice.
I got to give out some L's in the West. I gave a lot of them to Minnesota.
I can't.
But
I've never been more excited for NBA season to start.
Same.
All right.
For sure.
Yeah, so that's the Western Conference. Before we leave, I actually had two things, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, what's up?
For Kellan, he ended up with the Hornets and the Hawks tied for the 8th seed. So I was just curious, which of these two juggernauts do you want representing the Eastern Conference 8th seed?
Probably the Hawks.
Yeah, okay, that's good what pick. I had for you. Yeah, so we were pretty much in lockstep with the Eastern Conference. I'll figure out how it lined up for us in the West. So I think we're going to record again on Thursday, if that's okay with you, Kellan.
Yeah, what do you want to talk about?
Well, that's the thing. Chan, you're not going to be there, right?
Right, yeah.
When do you think are you going to be available at any point before the start of the season?
Me?
Yeah.
When does the season start?
The 22nd.
22nd. Okay,
oh yeah, not preseason. Yeah, my bad.
22nd is damn. No, I won't be back until.
Are you there for the holidays?
22nd. No, I'm coming back on Monday.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we're probably gonna have to do our individual award.
Or wait, no. I'm super tripping. I'm going. No. I'm gonna be back. On. I can do Thursday the 17th.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I was tripping.
Oh, okay. Wait. So, which show would you rather be on, Shannon? Would you rather be on the show where we fill out our playoff brackets, or on a show where we do individual predictions? Or we could try to stuff those all into one big podcast, and then this Thursday when Wesley comes on, we could just do a podcast that exclusively focuses on the Blazers. And so it would be Shannon's already talked about the Blazers. So
you can't do that without me, dude.
Okay. We won't do it without you. So
I've kind of said a lot about them.
Yeah. Right? Just when you do NBA episode, just have somebody else knowledgeable in the NBA talk about it. Come on with you, because talking to me is talking to a brick wall. I don't even know. I mean, I'm going to be following the Warriors really close, but besides that, I can't really converse.
I think talking to you is like talking to Ayesha Curry.
Probably, yeah.
But do you still want to do one on Thursday?
100%.
Okay. But I think my buddy Wesley is going to come on, so I'll ask Wesley what he wants to talk about.
Yeah. Actually, that's hilarious. Yeah, I'm talking to Ayesha Curry, because Ayesha Curry and me can probably name the entire roster, but could not tell you how or why they're going to win.
If the Blazers is the best thing for you to talk about, you can do that. I've already said a lot about them, but
yeah, I'm sure would talking about the Blazers be better than those other two options of individual awards and postseason predictions? Which one of those would you rather do?
I'm probably more capable of, if Shannon's not either here, I'm probably the most capable of making individual award predictions.
And Shannon, definitely you'll have your predictions heard on the pod. If anything, you can just text me what they are, and I'll be sure everybody knows.
Okay, I can do that for sure.
If you have any already figured out, you can say right now.
No, I got to think about it.
Yeah, for sure.
I think MVP.
So MVP, I guess it will
toss up.
It'll be individual awards on Thursday, and then next time Shannon's on, whenever that is, we'll fill out our brackets and then maybe do some more Blazers specific previewing
Cool. Sounds good.
Me and Sheridan tomorrow night are gonna do a one after the Niner game. Nice. So we're either gonna be really happy or extremely depressed. It's either gonna be one or the other.
Game? Like if they lose this, are they out of the playoffs?
No, but it's gonna help a ton because like the Seahawks lost to the Bills, and so like if we beat the Bills, that's good. So.
I'll update this spreadsheet and then I'll send it to you like at midnight. Okay.
Perfect. Colin? And then I'll make another posting for like the Western Conference, and then I'll make it so I'll make 2 posts because I'll fix like the Raptors one because I accidentally made that for 82 game season.
Okay. Oh, I'll text you this too so you don't forget. But I updated my Raptors record.
And then I can make one for the NBA play. I can do it for like the standings too that you predict.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. I'm thinking about making like I'm thinking about like aggregating all of our standings and making one like big all gear no game standings where it's like the average of our 3 predictions.
Yeah, that's sick.
Just the West was definitely honestly it might not be that different because it's all so close, like the game difference.
Our East the East is so boring though because we're agreeing, but there's a little bit of disagreement in the Western Conference.
That's a good thing, though. I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Mostly just due to like it being so close and like.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a fun one. Thank you guys.
For sure.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Good night.
Right.
Peace out, my boys. My boys.
Good luck with your teacher and stuff.
Oh, thanks. I'm gonna get her fired.
All right. Bye.